What if one simple formula could help you eat well anywhere, at home, work, or when you're traveling, and still support your hormones? It exists, my friend. In this episode, I'm going to teach you my formula that I give to my very own clients. It's something that's repeatable, easy to remember, and something to reduce the what's for dinner drama or what do I order at a restaurant. You're going to learn how to build a plate that keeps your blood sugar steady, your metabolism humming along, and your hormones happy. Welcome back to the Hormone Shift Show. I am your host, Leslie Duffy. In my client sessions, I see these very common scenarios. One client this week told me I ran out of the door with just a banana in my hand. And another client told me I had coffee for breakfast and then I didn't eat lunch until 2 o'clock. In fact, one of my very favorite clients, she was a CEO of a very big company, and she said to me, Leslie, I know I have to eat more vegetables, so I just had a salad for lunch, and an hour later or an hour and a half later, I had a blood sugar crash. And this is such a common problem. I realized that we needed to do this episode for the general public when one of my brand new clients said to me that she needed a template for her meals and she was coming up with some difficulty in what am I supposed to be eating? Using my formula, we came up with 4 dinners that she can repeat any day of the week, and it removed a lot of decision fatigue for her. And she was able to come up with a really doable menu plan. When you don't have a plan, it is so easy to order DoorDash. So most women were never taught how to eat for hormone balance. We did learn how to diet. We learned the grapefruit diet. We learned, if you read Cosmo, the champagne diet. You will probably know a little bit about, if you're used to dieting, you know a little bit about the keto diet. But all of these do nothing for your metabolism. They do nothing for your hormones. And we want to eat for weight loss if we're in a weight loss phase, obviously, but also we want to eat for our good nutritional status. So when we were younger, I'm sure many of you felt that you were told that carbs were bad or fats made you fat, and protein is mostly for athletes. And so when the hormones start to shift in midlife, we're using old rules that, of course, are going to not work for us. They're going to completely stop working. Maybe they worked when we were younger because we could get away with a lot more, but not this time around. At the end of this episode, I'm going to share with you what I made for breakfast today, but I'm also encouraging you to check out the show notes because your listener guide is there, and I'm going to give you the formula and some bonus suggestions that I couldn't fit into this episode. Next week, I'm also going to give you restaurant tips, so I want you to stay tuned for that. All right, let's get started. It is the PFF formula, which stands for protein, fat, and fiber. So protein is the hormone hero, and fiber is your cleanup crew, but protein is your construction team. Every single day, we break down protein from everyday functions. Your body constantly breaks down and rebuilds its own protein. This process is essential for repairing and recycling damaged proteins. In addition, they are the precursors for your neurotransmitters. Amino acids are the building blocks of proteins, and they are also the building blocks of these chemical messengers that are so important in midlife, like serotonin, dopamine, and GABA. And your body uses these very specific amino acids from dietary protein, such as tryptophan for serotonin and tyrosine for dopamine. They're critical brain chemicals that help to regulate your mood, your sleep, and your focus. Every hormone, enzyme, and muscle cell depends on protein. It also keeps your blood sugar stable. It prevents cortisol spikes. It helps you maintain that lean muscle mass, your metabolism's best friend. It helps to regulate satiety and hunger. And here's the trick. You want to get the right amount of protein. You want to aim for about 20 to 30 grams per meal. Think of 4 or 5 ounces of chicken and maybe a little bit more than of that in fish. And in the episode guide that I'm going to give you, it's called the PFF cheat sheet. I'm going to give you a chart where you can start to enter your frequently used proteins so that you can even print it and stick it on your refrigerator, kind of like old school style. And when you're trying to meet those protein requirements at each meal, you might be short. So you might just look at it and say, oh, you know what? If I have another ounce of chicken, or if I add some chickpeas, that will add that protein to supplement your diet and round it out a little bit better. And I want to just give you a quick pro tip. You want to front load your day with your protein. So this morning I had 26 grams of protein, 27 grams of carbs, and 21 grams of fat. Now, I'll tell you what I ate. So I had the Good Culture cottage cheese that has 18 grams of protein. with half a cup of blackberries, one slice of base culture bread that has 3 grams of protein in it. I had Kite Hill whipped ricotta cheese that has 2 grams of protein in it, half an avocado, has, believe it or not, zero point 0.8 grams of protein, and Zen basil seeds also. That was on top of my toast, and that had 1 gram of protein. So, as you can see, we're getting protein from different sources. I got it mostly from the cottage cheese, but I was able to create this from plant-based proteins as well. So I do recommend getting your protein source from food. There's actually an amino acid which is very beneficial. It's called leucine, and that amino acid, it helps you rebuild muscle. It turns on that rebuilding cycle in your muscles. And I know how hard it is to get enough protein during the day because I did it myself. And I don't have a problem with protein powders. So if you're not allergic to whey, that happens to be an excellent source of, it's a complete protein. It's the right amount of the amino acids. It has leucine. However, there are others that will do just as well. I would not be able to have whey because I did have whey and I had a kind of a bad reaction to it. I can't tolerate cottage cheese for some reason, but a smoothie with protein powder, chia seeds, and berries, it sets you up for that hormone success. And I, even myself, I've had clients who have not eaten enough protein and have been extremely exhausted the next day. That happened. I worked with a coach also, and I did not realize how little protein I was eating. Once I started eating enough protein, my cognition changed, my mood changed, my energy completely changed. It was life changing. I'm not kidding. It was incredibly transformative. And I want to offer that if you also are now in the mix of like you're used to eating the protein, the one day that you don't, you're going to feel it the next day. It happened to me. I was not able to exercise as hard. I couldn't recover as hard. So those things do happen, and it's all related to protein. All right, so let's talk about fat. That's the F in the formula, the first F. Now, that is the raw material. These are the healthy fats, and they are the building blocks of your hormones. If you don't have enough fat, you won't be able to make your hormones. So your body needs them to make estrogen, progesterone, and cortisol, and to absorb the vitamins A, D, E, and K, and they keep your mood and your metabolism steady. It's incredibly good for your satiety so that you are not hungry so quickly. So the time that between your meals, it can be nice and long, like at least 4 hours. Okay, so you want to focus on those monosaturated, olive oil, avocado, nuts. They're all very anti-inflammatory. Omega-3s, which would include things like salmon, chia, flax, sardines, they actually lower stress hormones. And even saturated fats are okay in moderation. We're talking like grass-fed butter, one of my favorites, eggs, and coconut oil, and really essential for hormone production. And we want to skip those seed oils, those fried foods, margarine, they kind of fuel that inflammation, create that little bit of hormone chaos. So just remember, fat is not bad. It is the support crew for your hormones. Okay, the second F in the formula is step 3. We have fiber, and that is the detox and balance powerhouse for your body. For women, fiber is not negotiable, okay? Fibers are chains and branches of sugars that are linked together in a way that you cannot digest. These types of carbohydrates provide that just a little bit of energy, but mostly they pass through the digestive system without being broken down. And they hold onto water, which helps you feel full, and it regulates your bowel movements. It's important to drink lots of water as you increase your fiber intake. Now, why it's so important is that estrogen detox happens in the gut. We want to get rid of estrogen through a bowel movement. And when you are constipated, you are undoing the work that your body worked so hard to create. It's undoing the process of detoxification. There's a little enzyme that comes around. It's called beta glucuronidase, and it will almost like take the bow off of the package and release the estrogen that's ready to be exited from the body, and you will end up reabsorbing it. So that's the really most important thing is when you're constipated, you end up reabsorbing all the toxins that you work so hard to detoxify. So it sits in the gut. It's almost like that aroma from a trash can that ends up being reabsorbed into your body. From my breakfast fiber, I had 4 grams of fiber from blueberries. The base culture sourdough had 3 grams of fiber. The Zen basil seeds, which was literally like a tablespoon, 3 grams of fiber. Avocado had 2.3. Now, I only had a quarter of an avocado, which was, it's not that much. And it has a ton of fiber, which is wonderful and very, very good for your satiety. And then the Kite Hill whipped cream, whipped ricotta, that had 1 gram of fiber. So it was a total of 13 grams of fiber. That's pretty good. We want to aim between 25 and 35 grams of fiber a day. And in fact, one of my clients just recently started, and the only thing she did for a week was just track her intake. And the only thing that we looked at was her fiber. And it was astonishing because she's like, I didn't realize it was so important. And she wasn't getting very much during the day. When we started making that change, it's such an easy change to do. In the PFF cheat sheet guide, you're going to get a lot more information on that. So, like I said, it helps your body detoxify estrogen. It keeps your hormones balanced, and we do not want to be reabsorbing that estrogen. So, a plant-based diet is going to keep things moving. It's going to support your liver detox pathways, and liver is one of the major organs for detoxification. And with fiber, you're going to see in the guide that we talk about soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. That's all explained in there. I'm adding another piece of this in. It is not part of the formula, but I don't want you to forget about it because these are incredibly important for women's health. It's polyphenols. So these are colorful compounds in berries, olives, dark chocolate, yay. They are a category of phytonutrients or compounds that are found in plants that offer amazing health benefits like reducing inflammation, protecting your body against oxidative stress. Now, they're not carbohydrates and they're not fiber, but they team up with fiber to feed your gut microbiome. And it lowers inflammation and it improves your estrogen metabolism. So if you've been eating low fiber and suddenly you start to load up on your fiber, beware. Your gut might push back a little bit. You might be experiencing a little bit more bloating, a little bit more gas, or a little bit more rumbling. And I want to assure you that it is temporary. In fact, that happened to me back in nursing school. I was on this crazy diet called Fit for Life. Oh my gosh. And it was by this couple called their last name was Diamond. It was insane. If anybody has ever tried that diet, you'll know what I mean. But I was not used to all that fiber and I was doubled over in pain. At that time, I was in nursing school, but I was working at a dialysis center and just doubled over in pain because I was not used to it. So, but I want to assure you, you want to ease it in, drink plenty of water, your gut is going to adjust. And once it does, you're going to feel a lot better. You're going to be more energized and your hormones are going to thank you. All right, so make sure that you check out that PFF cheat sheet. It's in the show notes. I also have other tips like using carminative herbs, which reduce gas and they soothe your digestion, and things like ginger tea, fennel seeds, peppermint. I love peppermint I don't have any digestive issues right now, but peppermint after dinner is wonderful. And so you want to do that gradual fiber introduction. You want to improve that gut tolerance so that you can reduce those like fermentations, the gas and the bloating symptoms that you get when you just jump into something too quickly. But I will say that if high fiber foods cause discomfort, I want you to, over the long term, it might be a good idea for you to talk to your doctor, talk to your provider, or a functional medicine practitioner like myself, and order yourself a GI map. They really give you a great idea of what's going on in the gut and will help you really make priorities based on what shows up there. And if you would like to look into that, I have that in the show notes. All right, so we're going to put it all together. We're going to make that PFF plate. It's the fun part. We're going to build your hormone-friendly plate. So start with your protein, 20 to 30 grams. And that's why that printout is so important. We want that grilled salmon, the chicken. Then you're going to add your healthy fats and the olive oil or some nuts. And then you're going to round it out with fiber and some colorful vegetables like veggies, beans, and even fruit. I had another client who would put blueberries in her salads, which has the phytonutrients, it has the fiber, and it gives you that little extra boost in flavor. And any spices, even polyphenols there are polyphenols in some spices. So an example of this would be a big salad with some olive oil and some salmon. You can add some roasted vegetables. You make your roasted vegetables at the beginning of the week, one time, one and done, and then put them in a glass container and keep adding them to your salads during the week. That is a blood sugar balancing, hormone supporting, and gut health supportive lunch or dinner all in one plate. So when you eat this way, my friend, you are going to have more energy. You're going to have fewer energy crashes. You're going to have better appetite control, and you're going to lose weight if that is your goal. And you don't have to track your calories. You just literally have to do PFF every time you eat. And that, my friend, is your hormone-friendly plate. If this formula feels very simple but it could be hard to stick with, next week we're going to talk about why that might be, because sometimes you do know what to do and it's not the knowledge that's getting in the way of your goals. It might be the follow through. So that is next week on the podcast. So until then, I want you to have an amazing week and I will see you then.